Okay, Pete again, North Las Vegas. I did kind of a quick video last week, starting the wiring job on my 71 Camaro. And I bought this hydraulic crimper, so for those of you that have never used this style, you might be wondering how well it did. It crimps. It crimps really well. My first battery cable, I over crimped it. I realized I didn't have to put nearly as much force, but you can see it's a really good, decent crimp. I mean, it pretty much turned the copper strands into a solid mass, and basically compression welded the copper together and the copper to the lug. Part of the reason I think I was maybe having some issues, I got the jaws a little bit too far down as where this starts to widen, and you can see it kind of pinched it out. And I also, like I said, I over crimped it. So just on how it turned out, I decided to try it again. And I think the other part of the problem is for the profile of the crimp here and how it kind of squeezed out on the sides. I think that's mostly because I'm using a really heavy duty lug. So I think if I used a standard size lug, it wouldn't be deforming that bad on the edge. But it will crimp, no doubt about that. Okay, so on the car, as far as the wiring, this is as far as I've made it. I got my number 4 charging wire done all the way over to my mega fuse, which I decided to mount on the firewall over here. And this is coming from the alternator, and this seems to be about the right radius for me on a 4-gauge wire, to where I had no issues with any of this getting too close to the headers down to the starter solenoid. And I'm probably still going to rig up a little clamp. There's a couple of unused holes on the back of the head, and I'll probably just hook up some type of wire loom support just to make sure that this number 4 gauge, like right now, I probably got a good, I'd say at least an inch, maybe 1.5 inch clearance from the headers. So that all by itself would probably be good enough, but I'm gonna use this silicone thermal heat sleeving, and I'm just waiting on Summit to get the other sizes that I need, and then we'll put these over the wires going down to the starter just to give it some added protection. I use this stuff from American Wire, and this is their high temp stuff. I got different sizes. This is their split loom, if you're not familiar with split loom. So you can just wrap that around your wire so you don't have to put it on before your lugs or anything like that. This is the first time I've actually used this braided stuff. So when you cut this and you trim it, you have to remelt the edge. If you don't remelt this, it starts to fray and come apart. So if you're not familiar with the braid, that's something you got to do. Yeah, so anyway, that's kind of where we're at. I'm just waiting on some, like I said, some different size silicone sleeving to get those wires protected back by the header. And then I'm still waiting on a couple of tools to show up, which should be here today. And then we're going to get the fuse block mounted and actually start doing the wiring. And then as I go along, I'll kind of get more detailed about what I'm doing and how I'm wiring things up and why. So one of the first things I got to do is get the safety neutral switch. I'm going to use a relay off the switch off the Tremec. I ran across quite a bit of information that shows that the Tremec safety neutral switch was, for the year that I bought, was originally designed as a computer input for 5 volts. So the contacts maybe aren't as good as they should be on my Tremec to handle the safety neutral on their own. So I'm going to put a separate relay in to handle the load, and then I'll show how I do all that. I'm also going to put a bypass switch in with the relay. So should the relay fail, or should the transmission contacts fail, I can still make a connection through my purple wires down to the starter, so I won't be dead in the water. I won't have safety neutral anymore, but me personally, if I was the only one driving a car, I wouldn't really care about the safety neutral, but my wife is probably going to drive it once in a while, and who knows who else. So thought it would be a good idea just to include that. Okay, so yeah, just kind of a quick update. And like I said, once I get my tools and I get some more of this high temp silicone sleeving for the wire, we'll get started on the rest of the wiring. Pete, North Las Vegas, over and out.